Welcome to the DK Project with host Darren Kahmeyer and Miss Natalie.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Well, I need to go. I need to go. I need you to say go.
Let's go!
And welcome to the DK Project podcast. What's happening today? We got Natalie and Bob in the house. What's happening, guys?
Hello. Hey.
You're what's happening.
I'm telling you, this is happening. This is big time right here.
The place to be.
I didn't realize my phone was going to be tied up, so now we're all good. Hey, I wanted to catch up with you guys and see what's been shaking out there in the land of plenty. I wanted to touch on a little thing that I saw last week after the show, Miss Natalie. Or is it Cool Hand Luke now? What are we going with?
Yeah.
What's up with that? You're at the gun range?
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I didn't tell you about that.
I can't believe you didn't either. I love that place.
I'm terrified of guns. So I thought, I write different columns in the Lake Minnetonka area, and often I write about things that take me outside my comfort zone. And I'm terrified of guns for a few reasons. And I thought, you know what? It's about time I faced that fear. I was in a mall shooting years ago. And
is there anything that hasn't happened to you?
Yeah.
I was just reading a Facebook post about something about your grandpa and your mom getting together or something.
That's another show. That's that time my mom married my grandpa.
I wish we had a little bit of hillbilly music to play in the background here, but we don't. Anyway, back to the gun range.
So back to the gun range.
So you jump right into the deep end of the pool at Stock and Barrel. That's the greatest place on earth.
I did. Went out to Stock and Barrel. I was absolutely floored with how it was not what I thought it would be. I don't know in my head what I had. It's very inviting. It's comfortable. It's a nice place. They go over and above when it comes to safety. And I got to tell you, I was surprised at how, when I was first holding the gun, we went to a safety briefing, and it was nerve-wracking. I was, shaking.
Do you think it was nerve-wracking for you or for the guy or the person that's helping you? Because I gotta think those people, when you got a complete greenhorn in there who's maybe never even held or seen a gun, and now you're going to be firing live rounds. I mean,
yeah, that happens all the time. I mean, they'll, you can go in having, like me, with no experience at all and a fear of guns, to being someone who professionally shoots and does competitions. They got something for everyone. But I got to tell you, I was surprised when he told me, he said, here's what we're going to do. I want you to pretend that, Tony, my guy, was there with me. And he's like, there's a guy coming at Tony. He's going to chop him up with an axe. And I want you to violently and aggressively fire at him.
Wow.
And for a female, and for me, that's not, in my wheelhouse necessarily to really be aggressive. But I really tried to put myself in that mindset. And he put the target back, and then it started quickly coming at me. And I couldn't, he said, hold. And then he yelled fire, and I unloaded that gun onto that thing.
Yeehaw.
By the time it hit my barrel, it had a good 4-inch hole in it. And I was shocked at how exhilarating I found that to be.
I was mentioning this to Bob before we got on the air, and I asked him if he had ever been there. And you know what he said?
What?
We shoot guns at home where he lives, out on the back 20.
We have a primitive shooting range. Matter of fact, my son was there practicing last night because he's going to Huron, South Dakota for the National Junior High School Rodeo Finals, where he will compete in light rifle, which is shooting a .22.
Wow.
So this might be your future, Natalie. Maybe there's nationals, maybe handgun, something like that. I know they got simulators and stuff over there, and it's you can get into anything. I mean, they got everything from random video shooting to probably marksman training. I've been over there where somebody brings out some heavy artillery and just starts unloading, and it'll scare the snot out of you because it's an enclosed environment.
Yeah, even with the headphones. I took a tour of the virtual room where you can virtually shoot. I think that's something more my speed that I could get into. What what I really liked about it that, again, surprised me was when you were there and you're holding the gun and you're going to shoot that gun, your mind can be nowhere else but right there.
Right.
And that's kind of a rare opportunity these days to really, be present and get present. And I was working with Mike Riley over there. He's the executive general manager. And he was saying that. He goes, it's that shooting guns is actually a Zen experience. And when he told me that, I'm like, you're nuts. But then I did it. And I realized the only way to do it is you really do have to be in the moment and present. He was right.
Well, and I would imagine that someone like yourself doesn't come from a background that, that's really not your thing. And it is something, it's easy to for people to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, guns, yada, yada, yada. But it really is a neat experience. And, everyone should give a run at some point just so that they can say they have. I don't have one at my house like Bob does, but there's places all over the place. I mean, you can go anywhere. What did you end up shooting?
A 9mm was called, I think he said it was called a 1911.
Sure. Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. It was pretty much a classic all-American gun.
Get you right into the deep end of the pool. I am going to Austin here in a couple weeks, and do you know who Jesse James is? He's kind of a, media guy, but he makes motorcycles. But he also has.
Oh yeah. Wasn't he married to
Sandra Bullock for a short run? Yeah,
that's right. Till he cheated on her.
We don't know that.
Oh, we know that. That happened.
But I think he has a firearms. He makes guns, and he makes a lot of those 911s, like really nice ones. Or is that a 1911? Is that what you said?
Okay, first of all, Natalie, the 1911 is the worst gun to give to a first-time shooter.
Why?
Because there's no ergonomics on it. It's a big, clunky gun. I mean, a lot of people like it, but he should have given you, the gun that we've given you, when you go back, tell me you want like the Walter CCP, which is smaller, ergonomically, it fits. It just fits your hand so much better. It's like, the 1911 is like just a block.
So you're thinking more comfort than...
well, I mean, for somebody who's shooting for the first time...
Huh? Maybe they didn't have a Walter C. What is it?
They've got them.
Oh, I bet they did. They had so many guns. But, I mean, I have no point of reference, only the one that I shot. But it was, it was... I handled it well. I wrapped my hands around that baby.
Well, all right, I mean, if you were comfortable. But he could have given you a gun that would have been much more comfortable, is my... Okay, let me ask you this. In the handle... Was it just flat, or did it have grooves where your fingers would fit?
On the back of the gun, it had with that between your thumb and your forefinger.
Yeah,
it had like an indentation where that rested.
On the back of it. Okay.
On the back
there you go.
It, and then my thumb was on the side. But
that's the only one you shot?
Yeah, that was the only one I shot.
So now the real question is, are you going to go back?
I would definitely go back. They offer I want to do their women's, it's so much more than a self-defense class. But they offer, it's like a lot of safety training as well, kind of like reading people.
Won't be long. You'll be carrying.
She'll be packing.
Carrying. Walking the dog with the 1911 in the bag. I like that.
Bag, she'll just strap it on her hip.
Really
Hell yeah.
It did wonders for my fear. I realized that it's not guns that I'm afraid of. It's crazy people.
There you go. Now you're coming around.
Yeah, that wasn't it. Because, I mean, nobody likes the sound of a gunshot most of the time. But more so, even after the mall shooting, I couldn't even go into a Home Depot, any big box area that I felt like I was trapped in where there were a ton of people. It was a long time before I could even do that.
Well, with your luck, it's probably a good idea that you stayed out of there. I mean, really, it's not the clean, and we're not touching on this whole grandpa mom thing. What's up with that? I didn't.
Well, it's going to be in my book. You might have to wait for it to come out. But the abridged version is my mom was married to my first stepfather, and after about 7 years or so, they divorced, and then she married his father, who is the man I grew up calling Grandpa because he was my grandpa.
Cuckoo.
But I still called him Grandpa after that.
Wow. Are they still together?
Oh God, no.
Oh.
No, he passed away years ago. My mom, they were only married for a few years, and then my mom went on to marry my third stepdad, who she was with till she passed, they were together for 20 years.
Man, sounds
So,
a little cloudy. Yeah.
You know what, though? The bright side of that is that even though it was 2 marriages, I didn't have to change families.
Well, way to look at the bright side, I guess. Wow.
Yeah, totally. But that's going in my book for sure. These different things that, my whole thing is, and what you were referring to is I posted on Facebook the other day that sometimes I don't realize the crazy things that I've been through and have happened to me until I throw it out casually in conversation and people look at me like I'm nuts. Like, what?
So at no point you thought that was a little strange?
At the time, I mean, by then so many other things had happened that I was kind of like, well, I'm going to kind of just stay away from this one. I was 13 at the time.
Man.
And I was already growing up in a cult, so it was a very non-traditional family back then.
So this book is, how far along in the book writing are we?
We're not very far. I've got the outline and a lot of the list of what's going in there. But to be honest, it didn't really hit me how that any of it would even be interesting to anyone. I just thought that, everyone has had strange things happen in their life. But when I start going through the list of mine.
Yeah, super strange. Hey, Bob's written a book, huh? It's right there on the
Bob
desk. How many books you got under your belt, Bob?
I lost count. Actually, I've done a couple.
Really?
All of them were sports related. The 2 were sports related. I have a few others that are sitting in a drawer that have not. I could self-publish, but
Yet
rather
to be
not.
published. Yet to be released.
Self-publishing is fine, but I don't know if I have the stamina to go through it, where you have to really promote the heck out of it yourself.
Oh, for sure. These ones were not self-published?
No, they were done by publishing houses.
Nice.
So what I'll do is I'll put out a chapter a week on the BS, the BSshow.net. I'll read it. I'll do it audio.
We'll do the reading for you.
I'll do the audio version.
See how that goes over. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to touch on something I saw the other day with all this condo building going on. They were talking about some of these new high-rises in New York City that they have to pay a special shadow tax. Have you heard about this?
No.
What's that?
They're building these skyscrapers so tall in New York City, they're blocking the sun from getting to the vegetation. So they have to pay a special tax.
Yeah, because New York is known for its vegetation.
How about that? Well, like Central Park and that kind of thing. I mean, they're saying it's having an effect, but they just keep going taller and taller. I just saw something on the news about they're going to do a big one here in Minneapolis.
Do you think we'll
shadow
have that
tax
here?
No shadow tax. Just a huge skyscraper, which I don't know, with this condo thing going on, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, in New York, you have to come up with reasons to make money because they have a lot of people and businesses leaving New York, so they have to replace that income.
Well, nobody's real happy with their governor right now, are they?
Or their mayor.
Or their mayor? There you go.
Yeah.
Big time. Speaking of which, Bob and I were talking a little bit, and this touches a little bit on your new specialty there, Miss Natalie. A little bit about home inspection. Bob was telling me he's got a relative who's selling a house, and we're going to get into this home inspection gate right after the break. All right, listeners. This is for all you who struggle with their hair on a day-to-day basis. What I need you to do is call the good people at the hair studio in Chaska. When you have the right cut, bad hair days are few and far between. If you have a specific look in mind, they can help and then show you how to make it work on a daily basis. Why worry about bad hair days? Just schedule an appointment with the hair studio in Chaska. They can help you develop a carefree, great-looking style. They also offer a full array of exceptional services for the whole family, including haircuts, color, foiling, hair smoothing, waxing, and threading. Remember, when you look your best, your day just goes better. Call the hair studio in Chaska at 952-368-0900. They're located at 500 North Pine Street in downtown Chaska. Tell them you heard it on the project. Today's episode is brought to you by the Lost Lake Creamery, old-fashioned ice cream parlor, located at 5575 Shoreline Drive in Mound, Minnesota, just off the Dakota Bike Trail and the Lost Lake Channel on the north end of Cooks Bay of Lake Minnetonka. Stop in and see them today. 24 flavors to choose from. Pick up some ice cream on the way to the lake or on your way home from the lake. The Lost Lake Creamery, old-fashioned ice cream parlor. And we're back. Now, before the break, I kind of touched on this. We're talking a little real estate. This is really my specialty, Natalie's soon-to-be specialty, next to book writing.
I'm learning more about it.
Shooting guns and all the other things she takes on. Your resume is starting to look a lot like mine. But Bob has a family member selling a house, and they sold the property as is.
As is, because she dropped the price. Well, basically dropped it over $60,000 from the original asking price. The originally was posted in winter when there was no traffic,
Slow traffic, yeah.
and then dropped it again. Dropped it 30 to get it, and then she got an offer which was not close to that. But then she actually dropped it about another 30 to make the deal happen.
Well, and I think
as is though, that's why she did it.
Yeah, well, and the reason why we bring this up is because in the real estate world, the biggest enemy a seller has right now, because the market's really strong, it's not values, because most time values are there and the appraisals are working out. It's these damn inspectors, which now what Bob's telling me is they have this under contract, and the inspector went through with a big laundry list of items they want fixed, when really the sale was as is. So my gripe today is with these inspectors. I know in Minnesota, now this property Bob's referring to is in New Jersey, but in Minnesota you need like 2 cereal box tops and a $50 bill and you can be a home inspector. There really isn't any kind of license requirements other than, you just have to apply and you could be a home inspector, which these guys are wrecking a lot of deals. A lot of times, and I buy and sell a ton of real estate. And the worst thing in the world for me is when these inspectors come in and they're, expecting it to be a new house. The first thing an inspector does is they'll have you sign something saying the first thing they'll do is have you sign a check over to them. And the next thing they'll do is they'll have you sign something saying they're not liable for anything. So if they miss something or if they tell you something incorrectly, they get no feedback on that.
Well, here's the interesting thing. 'Cause I talked to the realtor who's been doing this for decades, right? A realtor.
Yeah.
I did not see the inspection report. He did, and I said, well, what was in it? And he said there was in one corner of the roof there needs to be a fix, because it was like it looked like at one point there might have been some water that got in, and that's just really fixing the shingles.
Yeah.
Now you could replace the roof, but it's fixing the shingles. The other thing he said is there's a piece of plywood that in the roof that looked like it had gotten wet, probably from that one piece, and it's a matter of replacing the plywood.
This is what, a 50-year-old house?
Not quite 50. It was built in 72, so I guess it's close to that. But this is the guy. My sister's realtor reading the inspection report.
Right.
Well, the inspection report, the way it was dissected by the other realtor, is completely different. Needs a new roof.
Yeah.
Needs a center structure thing. I mean, but they both, it's almost like the Mueller report.
Yeah.
They both read the
It's
same
your
thing.
interpretation of
and
it.
took completely different things out of it.
Yep. A lot of times a buyer will use that inspection for leverage. I want more
Well, they want to
money
knock off another 30 to 40 grand.
Right. And when
It's not going to happen.
Well, when you right, and like I was saying, you hold strong and you say we're not fixing anything. You bought this as is, and I guess that comes into play on whether they made the inspection or made the transaction contingent on the inspection.
Well, you have to have attorneys in New Jersey.
Okay.
Any attorney would be crazy to not say it's contingent upon an inspection.
Well, but you're buying an as-is house.
Yes,
which
you are,
should make it different.
It's as is.
From the buyer's side, yeah, but your seller's attorney should have said, no, we're not.
Well, I don't disagree.
We're not letting you chew that up. But
the seller, here's the thing that's weird about the attorneys. They don't take really get the contract until it's signed.
Right. Which makes sense. But your realtor was negotiating it, so your realtor should have said, no, we're not doing that.
Well, he did. It's clearly stated, as is.
No, but I mean not allowing it to be contingent on an inspection.
Oh.
They could say they're going to do an inspection, but you don't want to give them a bailout opportunity, because really you don't have to do anything. But now the other part of this, and again, I don't know New Jersey law, but in Minnesota, now that your realtor and your seller has seen the inspection, you have to technically disclose all those items that were found by this inspector. So, like, I've done deals before where...
Oh, you mean anything that if she sells it again?
Yeah, like if this deal falls apart and you're forced to put it back on the market and move on, they have to technically disclose what they found in that inspection report, because this is a licensed home inspector in the state of wherever. And I'm only
I don't know if it may be that. I don't know if it's like
Minnesota.
that in New Jersey or not.
But I know I've run into deals before where, I'll have an inspector go out and do an inspection, and they'll find mold or something, and then you automatically send that report over to the other agent because once they see it, they have to disclose.
Well, mold is another thing.
Well, right. I mean, you don't have anything that severe. This is a learning moment, Bob. This isn't all about your transaction. We're teaching. We're teaching the podcast listeners because I think personally, with the market the way that it is, the market's very strong here in the metro, and these folks who have inspectors coming through just tearing things up, and a lot of first-time home buyers and a lot of sellers don't know any different. They don't know, that this is a tactic that a lot of buyers and sellers will use for negotiating power. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I recently ran into this, and it's a problem. But I think moving to a more structured license level for our home inspectors is something that needs to be done. They just don't have it. Appraisers, realtors, even your closing agents have license and continuing education they have to take care of.
Well, I mean, I could read some of the things that they put in here, but it's just it's a different. I need to talk. I'll call the agent and see what he has to say.
Get to the bottom of it, Bob.
But they all have attorneys, and the per attorney, he needs to step up and say, hey, he's the one that needs to be pushing the fact that it said as is.
Yeah, for sure. But if it's contingent on the inspection, then you really don't have a play. They can bail out. Yeah.
Well, if they bail, they bail. I mean, she had other offers that were ridiculously low, but it was by a flipper.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'd almost, even though it would be more money, and this would be the irrational side of me, would be say, tell these people to walk and sell it to the flipper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're just trying to gouge you. Or
yeah, but now when you go back to the flipper, they'll drop $20,000 off their price too.
You know what? Then the house won't be sold and it'll be leased.
There you go. There you go. The other alternative. Hey, another thing I want to touch on this week with the all the hubbub about the Gay Pride Parade and all the goings on this weekend for the parade. Have you ever been involved in this? This is more your alley, Natalie, than mine. Not for any particular reason other than as a reporter in the community.
It's no secret that I'm a huge supporter of the LGBTQ community. But I have never been to Pride because, what holds me back from big things like that is it's crowded.
Well, and, I only bring this up because they rerouted the parade route this year and it's going to get crazy, whatever. And I don't even want to get into the costumes and all the madness, but I at one point they were doing the parade and I was taking one of my sons to a Twins game. And I had to cross this parade route with my, 10-year-old at the time, maybe 8. I don't know. He was young. And some of the stuff these folks are wearing and dancing around, I'm like, I had a lot to explain. And I'm just.
Well, but that's what makes it fun because some of it's so far out there, and I'm speaking from someone who only witnesses it through social media or on television, but it's a celebration and
that's not fun explaining that.
Now, I am not passing judgment because I'm fine. You want to live whatever lifestyle you want. Fine with me.
Why do you got to get nuts and force it on me?
Well, but here's the question I have, and maybe Natalie knows the answer. Who gives you a month? Who is it that says it's anything month? You know what I mean? It's LBGTQ month. It's pizza month. Whatever month. Who decides you're getting a month? I mean, is it a national decision or do they decide themselves? This is our month.
Why do they need a month if they want so badly to be, husband and wife or however you want to say it?
Well, to be considered mainstream.
Yeah, to be mainstream. Why is it that we need a month? Why do you need a week?
Why do you need anything?
Why can't you just have a parade?
You two are so ignorant. It's not a month.
I think it is.
Oh, it is a month,
yeah.
Natalie.
It's not a month.
Yes, it is.
Gay Pride is generally a week.
No, it's a month.
It's a weekend.
They knocked a month down.
Have a month.
No,
Bob's getting the Googler out. This is true.
Natalie, I would never, everything you've said has been spot on, but I think now.
We've got.
You can, here in Minnesota, it's Gay Pride weekend or Gay Pride week. The whole month, nationally, it's recognized as a month.
Okay.
They don't go on with stuff for a month.
Clarification.
Okay. LGBT History Month.
Same or not same?
I'm just saying.
It's the same month, but celebrating Gay Pride.
We're deviating from the point. Why do we have to be so over the top and so? Why do you get a month?
Well, but why not? I guess my question would be,
But why can't you celebrate it every day?
Wait, it doesn't bother us. What I want to know is, all my question is who decides who gets a month? California joined states flying pride flag this month as Trump administration blocks. And also there were a number of the embassies that wanted to fly the pride flag for the month. It's a month-long celebration.
Federally, nationally, it's a month. Do you know that you could get a day or a month? I think you just get it approved through the governor's office in Minnesota. So you could have the DK Project Day. Did you know that?
We will have the DK Project Day.
But it's in. I think it's recognized nationally though. So, but each one had to go to the state.
Nationally, it's a month. But you can get anything.
So,
you can get a proclamation approved by your local government. You can have DK Project Day in Mound.
Are you saying that the state of Minnesota is short shrifting the community and giving them only a week or a weekend and not a month?
Yeah, we're not all in here in Minnesota. We're not committing to the whole month. I'm sure you do. I just wanted to touch base on the fact that why it has to be so over the top. I get it. I'm whatever. I don't care either way. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm on. Hey,
again, I'm fine. I don't care.
I'm flashing back to taking my 8-year-old through this parade and having to explain what's going on right there.
You want a season? Take the entire season.
Take the year as long as it doesn't stand out.
Yeah,
cross the street in a parade. It doesn't. It's whatever. I believe in whatever makes people happiest is good.
Do it.
And I don't care again, I want to make it clear. I don't care if any group has a month.
No.
Because it doesn't really...
You just want to know how to get one so we can have the DK Project month. I want a month.
I was thinking the BS show month. But
no.
We'll do it together. We'll share the month.
Well, start with a day.
I'll take a day. I'll be happy with a day.
I want July 4th. Wait, it's taken.
Oh, yeah. They got that thing, July 4th.
Yeah,
that thing.
Yeah, they got another flag they celebrate.
Well, you can fly 2 flags. My flagpole has 2 flags. I got the ASU flag up there right now for the superhero. Yep. Okay, so your homework for this weekend, Natalie, is to go to the Pride Parade. We want feedback for next Tuesday's show. You're going to be our on-location reporter. Bob and I have a thing. We can't go.
Yeah, don't bring your gun.
I have to go virtually, man. I'm working this weekend.
Yeah, I know you're working. You're working the parade for the show. Yeah. All right. We got to wrap this thing up. As Natalie plans her seats for the parade route, we will reconvene next week with the DK Project. So for Bob, Natalie, and Darren, we'll talk later.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.